So we are going to move into a little bit of surrealism. So I call this something in your eye, but as I explain, you'll find that you don't necessarily have to do something in your eye. So we're going to play with surrealist compositions using color pencil. So our artist inspiration. Let's look at a few surrealist artists. Is the eye a window or a mirror? This is called The False Mirror by Rene Magritte. So notice that what he did to make this surrealism is that instead of having the iris of the eye, right, that muscle that opens and closes your pupil in the center, right, we see kind of like a window looking into the sky, right? Notice how in surrealism, they often juxtapose unlikely imagery. So here, this eye replaces maybe this bone that's in this piece of ham steak. Right? Here's Audrey Redon's eye. The eye is like a strange balloon. Right? So surrealism was often taking fantastical creatures or imagery and composing it. It's at least one style. So our target for this entire lesson is to use realistic detail and color to create a composition using the eye, or you can use another feature from the face as well, like your nose or your mouth, and use it with other realistic elements. And so your challenge is to figure out which direction you want to go with this assignment. So will the imagery be purely surrealistic? So will it be nightmarish, creepy? Will shapes and other objects become part of the eye or other features of your face, or will it be in the area around it? Another thing you can do is think about a metaphor. So what is a metaphor for sight or taste or smell? Thinking about, will it be what you wish you could have not seen, or what you think you would like to see? So this idea of metaphor of sight or another sense. Will you be looking towards the future? Another thing you can do is to play on the qualities of that feature. So the eye is a pretty easy one, because when you think about your eye, not only do you use it to see, but it does a lot of things. I know that my eye is really itchy and dry right now because I've got allergies. So that, dryness, what kind of imagery could represent dryness in my eye? Your eye blinks, it focuses, it tears, it cries. So thinking about those functions. So there's this brainstorm connected here, and I have it already open. What I'm going to have you do is basically from the link, you make a copy. And so from that, I'd like you to come up with as many ideas as possible. I have enough for 9, and I really like you to push your ideas. So thinking about how your ideas would be surrealistic. So I put those prompts there for you. So surrealism would be like fantasy, right? And so with this area, it could be something creepy or just kind of unlikely that you would put together, okay? The next area is the qualities of the eye. So thinking about your functions of the eye. So an example of that might be your tears become a flood, right? Notice I had an example of like crying spiders at the time. That would probably scare me too. And then the last one is that metaphor for sight. So an example would be the scream in Edward Munch. What characters is he looking at? What does he see when he's making that scream? So you'd come up with, try to fill in as many of these ideas as possible. I'm asking for 9, right? But I would definitely make sure that you have at least 6. And then from there, I'd like you to pick your favorite one, right? And then I would like you to continue to brainstorm, thinking about imagery that you might need to find on your Chromebook as a reference, or images you might need to take. So you're able to take your own photos, and then eventually we'll do some sketching imagery. And you can add any research imagery to this document. You can also add it to your process portfolio where you will place it eventually anyway. Right? So let's look at a few examples here. So some of these examples are not necessarily all color pencil, but here we have some more surrealist imagery, right? Think about what shapes in the objects could become an eye or an area around the eye, what could be trapped in the eye, what could you be seeing, right? Here we have our metaphor. What is the person looking at? And here we have a beautiful landscape in the iris. I love this one. This is in color pencil. I love this one because through the fibers and the reflection of the eyelash, we can see the world. So it's a pretty complex image there, right? And then playing on the qualities of the eye, right? So here's kind of like a waterfall from the tears, right? So is this surrealist a metaphor for sight or a quality of an eye? Yeah, this one is surrealist, right? This one is kind of based on like being the apple of someone's eye. So it's based on a pun, right? When you are brainstorming, try to move past your first idea. You can see these are some digital examples of this, how, might everyone think about the waterfall, but how can you do a splash or a drip, right? Moving past other, like thinking of other imagery that represents water or flow of water, right? So the technique we're going to use is realistic in color and pencil, right? You're going to be able to take some photos or find some photos. So here's some photos of my son's eye that I took. Notice that I didn't always just do front views. I tried different angles. Everyone does a front view. So I would probably suggest experimenting with different angles of the face. So even if you're going to do noses, try front, side, bottom, top, that sort of thing, right? You want to make sure that you are moving away from that straight shot or working purely from your imagination. The eye is really nice in this first one, but it's really generic in that cityscape and the trees at the bottom. So think about angles like the one on the right. Some more examples of angles, right? You can do a close-up where you don't need to show the whole eye. Whoop. You can do the area around the eye. Right. Make sure that you have enough detail that you are going to be able to use your color pencil. So you wouldn't want to zoom in so much that you have just flat color. Right? How do you think she got so much good detail in color pencil? She used good techniques. So we'll practice color pencil technique. Which reflection is more three-dimensional, right? This one goes back in depth. This is kind of like just superimposed on top of it. It doesn't mean that you can't do something simple like the clock though, but I don't want to see everyone doing the clock, right? We want to make sure that we, kind of come up with a good idea. So it's okay to merge, two of those ideas, the metaphor, the surrealism, the quality of the eye. It's okay to merge these things together, but just make sure that you do it in a complex way. This is too simplistic for drawing two in imagery, right? It's too generic. We want to make sure we have better technique and better detail. And so we're going to mix for realistic skin tone. Your eye can become something else. Think about your ability at this moment. If you work fast, how can you push yourself to do something more complex? These will be really small drawings. They're only going to be about 5 by 6 inches in size. So some of you who have lots of experience in color pencil might want to try some more complex imagery, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and get started with your planning, focusing on those different qualities of the eye. And then you'll turn in your brainstorm to the teacher.